Merry Christmas. Good evening. We are so glad to have all of you here tonight. This is our first time to do two concerts in the same season, but a lot of us have friends who are members of other churches and occupied with choir practices on Wednesday night, or have a very busy week and can't really think of doing anything different until weekend comes. So we're glad this is an experiment, and we're glad that you all were able to be here tonight. We have all the ringers behind me here had somewhat of a rocky road getting here. So let me catch you up to date a little bit. This was the year of, as our niece used to say when she was little, uh-oh happens. We had one ringer just before Thanksgiving face plant on her sidewalk. She is bravely playing behind us here, and so we thank her. We have a couple who rang, and the week before concert week started, the husband discovered he had 3 blockages. He had triple bypass surgery yesterday. He is doing well today, on the road to recovery, but obviously is not here ringing, nor is his wife, who is helping him out. So we have one ringer, raise your hand, Marianne, who has substituted in about 4 different positions as this whole situation evolved. We have a ringer sitting in for the gentleman who had open heart surgery, Jeff, who does not ring in our choir, but he's been kind enough to play with us tonight because ringers stick together. And then when I found out the day of Wednesday's concert that one of our ringers has the plague, as she says, has the flu, Marianne got shifted yet again to another position. And then when I talked to Jan, Tim's husband, she said he is recovering well. He's supposed to be going to a private room this afternoon, but she is not ready to ring. So at the last minute, I called Mark Stokes, also from another choir, from Carolina Bronze, and said, please. So the beauty of this group of celebration ringers is that they not only serve as a mission to our church, we play once a month in church, and to our community, but to each other. And they have supported each other, helped each other out, been there when they were needed, and they're just an awesome group of people. So they deserve a round of applause. Please keep all of the family members that are ill in your prayers. One last bit of housekeeping. Unless you can guarantee that your cell phone ringtone will match what we're playing exactly, please make sure that your ringer is turned off. We don't need Tiger Rag playing in the middle of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. We're going to start tonight with a piece that you get to sing along with. We're going to start with an old English carol done by Isaac Watts called Joy to the World, based on a Handel tune. And I will turn around and get you all started. Your words are in your bulletin, your program. There are more programs back there if you need an extra program. So we'll start with you all joining us in Joy to the World. Thank you. You brought your good, strong Christmas voices with you tonight. You'll get a chance to sing along with us in our final piece as well. Is there anybody here tonight who has never been to a handbell concert before? Got a few ones. Well, I'm going to bore the rest of you all with a little bit about handbells while the ringers get their positions adjusted for the next piece. To make a longer story short, English churches, which were the gathering place for the community, they rang the bells to announce the hours, to announce time to go to church, to announce deaths and births, to announce emergencies. And then they decided they could do something called a peal, which was all math. It was just mathematical rearrangements of the number of bells they had. And some of these peals could last hours. The ones that were done for Queen Elizabeth's death were about 13 hours long. And if you make a mistake, you got to start over again. And I'm here to tell you those church towers way up there, open so that the sound can come out, are not warm places. And so, to keep from bothering the neighbors and freezing to death, when the bell ringers practiced their peals, they used small hand bells. And they went to the nice warm pub to practice. And they didn't disturb the neighbors, and they could be there all day if it took that long, but it gave them that muscle memory to ring. And then somebody had the bright idea, well, let's not make just bells without clappers, let's give them a note. And we can ring a carol, we can ring a hymn, we can ring tunes. And that art of ringing handbells was brought to this country, and actually was brought here by P.T. Barnum. He got a group of English handbell ringers, for some reason dressed them up in Swiss costumes, I have no idea why, and called them Swiss bell ringers, but brought them over to this country. The churches picked up the idea, and now there are community handbell choirs and church handbell choirs all over. In this area, we have a superb community choir, Carolina Bronze, and two of our ringers back here, Mark and Gail, stick your hand up, ring in Carolina Bronze, and they do have 2 more concerts left, so if you are interested in seeing them ring and hearing them ring, by all means speak to Gail after tonight's concert or to Mark, and they'll be glad to let you know where and when they are ringing. The next piece we're going to do is Away in a Manger. It takes the 2 tunes that you might be familiar with for Away in the Manger, the one that we all learned in Sunday school when we were, 4 or 5 years old, and the newer tune to Away in the Manger weaves in there Infant Holy, Infant Lowly. It kind of feels to me like a lullaby, and you're just very peaceful and calm in the manger watching the baby Jesus sleep. So this is Away in a Manger. In general, in a handbell choir, each ringer is responsible for 2 bells and their sharps and flats. Sometimes 3 or 4. You might see Eric and Lynn in the end of the bass have 4 or 5 bells in front of them because they're playing them with a mallet. In the treble section, we have ringers who can hold 2 in each hand. Because a clapper only goes one direction, they can just turn the direction of their hand to have the bell ring separately. And of course, you need the sharps and the flats and the chimes and everything else that go with those notes that you are assigned. And nobody else has those particular notes in that range. So you can well imagine when at the last minute we have a ringer who's got the flu, it would be like we were trying to play a piano that those notes didn't work anymore. Or type on a computer that those keys with letters don't work anymore. There would be big holes in them. So we are especially grateful for those people who have stepped in at the last minute and helped us make actual beautiful music. I describe handbell ringing as being like taking a Shakespearean sonnet, for instance. And Charles, you've got the word thee, and Penny's got the word summer, and you've got the word night, and so forth, and you assign each word in the sonnet or the poem to a different person. All right, now we're going to recite it and make it sound like a poem. And so that's the tricky part about handbell ringing, and these ringers have all worked very hard to create some beautiful music for you out of their individual notes blended with all the other notes in the choir. We're going to move on to the first Noel tonight. This one uses a lot of different handbell techniques. You heard the chimes playing the melody through here, and you may have noticed the ringers, doing a note, something like this with their bell that gives it an echo sound. It's called an echo. But there are a number of ways to get softer sounds, more percussive sounds. You'll hear a lot of those different sounds tonight. This one has a very rolling sound feel. I'm imagining in my head the fields with the sheep bedded down, little white fluffy sheep bedded down, and the shepherds, one is on watch and the rest are starting to go to sleep, and the fog is rolling in and the night is descending and it's nice and quiet, and then the skies burst with the angels singing the first Noel. So imagine these rolling notes portraying the fields before the first Noel comes bursting forth. Now you're going to get to hear some of the percussive sounds that a bell can make. Because just a simple ring, it rings and all it's going to do is decay on its own. But there are some movements that you can make with bells. You may have seen a swing in one of our pieces, but you also can put your thumb on the casing of the bell and make a little sharp staccato sound. You can push the bell into the pad so that it rings as it hits but stops ringing, or you can push it into the pad and lift it and it will continue to ring. You can use a mallet, you can pluck the bell. So you've got a number of techniques. If you look at handbell music, mostly it looks like piano music or singing music or whatever, but it has individual symbols that say how to handle that bell, no pun intended, when you pick up the handle and play it. Most of those symbols or names are in Italian or in italics, and I joke with the handbell choir and say, if it's in Italian or if it's in italics, it means exactly the same thing. Watch the director. So you don't have to interpret, you don't have to speak Italian to play handbells. You just have to learn a few symbols. So we're ready to deck the halls tonight. We have two pieces in our concert arranged by Cynthia Dobrinsky. This is one of them. She's one of my favorite arrangers, and Gail will tell you in a little bit more about her when we play the second one. This one is a Welsh tune, Let's Deck the Halls. And so you'll listen for the martellatos and the staccato sounds from this one for Let's Deck the Halls. In many ways, handbell choirs are like an ensemble in that you all have to work together and you have to be thinking the same tempo, thinking the same volume. So that helps. We do have a few handbell ringing rules. They apply to most ensembles. Number one, everyone always plays off of the same piece of music at the same time. We don't want to be on a different piece of music. Number two, if you make a mistake, smile. Number three, if you make a timid mistake, it's a mistake. But if you make it with authority, it's just an interpretation of the music. And number five, if you have any notes left over at the end of the piece, don't play them. We're going to continue in this light percussive mood for all the children of all ages out in the audience with Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. It's a beautiful thing when that martelato all comes together. It's awesome. I have a confession to make. I'm a bell geek. I've been involved in bells and playing bells and directing bells. Well, I've been playing bells for, I counted it up, 48 years. And directing this choir for a number of years. And I just love it. And I love to play, too, and I don't get a chance to do that very often. The very second position I was ever assigned, way back in the dark ages, was G, A, B, and C at the top of the octave, played two in each hand. This next piece uses that G, A, B, and C, and I've probably played this piece in that position at least a dozen times. So Gail Gorey has been very agreeable and said, well, I will direct that one for you so that you get to have the fun playing. So here's Gail Gorey.
Just like she promised, I would tell you a little bit more about the arranger of this piece, and that is Cynthia Dobrinsky. She was with us for 71 years, gave over 350 bell, not concerts, but where you learn about them. Workshops, yeah, I knew I'd find the words sometime, thank you. Speaking of words, our next song that she arranged is all about angels. It's called Angel Tidings. And so when you think of angels, do you know any by name? Do you happen to remember from a long time ago? Not that you were there, but think about an angel's name. I heard one. What was that? Gabriel, yeah. Any other names? Michael, I asked this with some kids the other day, and they went, "Hark!" I'm like, and then the second one was, no, you mean Harold. Yes, yeah. So they kind of got the idea. But you know what? When I think of angels, I know when they did appear ages ago, they were big and scary. That's why the first thing they said was, "Do not be afraid." But I saw an angel today because I went to get here. The traffic was horrendous, and someone was nice enough, an angel, unaware, let me in so I could actually be here tonight. Think in your lives of who were the angels or who are the angels that you can give names to. They may not be Hark or Harold or Michael or Gabriel, but especially this season, give them a call and tell them, "Thanks for being my angel." Hope you enjoy Hark the Herald Angel or Angel Tidings by Cynthia, arranged by Cynthia Dobrinsky.
you very much. Before we finish our last piece of the concert and give you a chance to sing along, does anyone have a deep, burning, unanswered question about handbells and handbell choirs? Something you've all your life wanted to know, or just are curious about today? I do invite you to come up and join the ringers after we finish and ring a handbell. Ask them any questions, let them show you what the music looks like, what their instruments look like. I invite you to come up and have a chance to speak to them. Before we finish tonight, I want to give many thanks to the people in the church who have supported us, to the United Women in Faith who have made Christmas cookies. Hint, hint, there's still some for sale after this service. If you'll see on the back of your bulletin, that supports the many missions that they are involved in this community. So we wish you a Merry Christmas is our final piece. This one's a little tricky. So don't come in until I direct you to come in, because there's all kinds of stuff in the middle between the two verses. So give the handbells their moment in the sun, and I'll bring you in for both of the verses. But we do wish you all a Merry Christmas. Tonight. Thank you for supporting the ringers with your applause and with your presence. Speaking of presents, I have a little something that I want to give to each of our ringers. They have been so good to me and take such good care of me and take such good care of others. And so since this is Cookies and Carols concert, I have for each of the ringers a special gift. I'm not a baker or a decorator, so I relied on Whimsy Cookie to make handbell cookies. So you all come and get your handbell cookies on the way. Thank you again for coming tonight. Feel free to come up and speak to the ringers and ask them any question you want. Thank you very, very much for attending tonight's concert.